Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Dude's Brunch, a podcast about breakfast food and pop culture, but not necessarily in that order. I'm your host, Taylor, and I have a fabulous panel of guests with me tonight. We're going to introduce them one by one. Let's start with Tyler Reed. Tyler, how are you? What did you have for brunch today?
Yesterday was my last day of my burrito flipping shift, so we get 2 days off before I start flipping burritos again, so it's good. Today, I had a little bit of steak with some ciabatta and some nicely seasoned eggs with some spinach and tomato. Don't worry, I don't think I actually made it myself.
Good to know. I'm glad you're not getting too fancy for us. We'd have to kick you off the show.
That's right. Our standards are so low as it is.
I know. I mean, we have Shaun here. Shaun, what atrocity did you put in your mouth for brunch today?
Jif cereal. It's like no, don't give me that look. No, listen. This is what I like about Jif cereal. It's like Captain Crunch, but it doesn't micro-cut your mouth and make you regret eating everything else that you're going to eat for the rest of the day.
He's not wrong.
So is it a peanut butter cereal?
Yes. Why would it not be?
I wasn't sure.
What do you think Jif would be?
I thought maybe it could be one of these cool, hip new marketing campaigns, and all the cereals shaped like memes or something, like that kind of Jif.
Okay. And I had coffee. There you go. Let's go on to Seth.
Whew, that was a stretch, Taylor. Woo!
Shut up. All right. And our guest this week, friend of the show, Seth Alexander. Seth, what did you have for brunch today?
Oh, I had a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich on a biscuit and some Silverbridge coffee from Fluff, a bakery in Athens. It was delicious.
I approve. Silverbridge, good coffee, good stuff.
What did you have today?
I actually went to
polo
a
shirt?
real brunch today. Hey, this is a full button-down shirt, excuse you. But I actually went to a real brunch today. It was really nice. There was coffee and a fruit plate, and I brought a coffee cake. There were pancakes and a quiche, and just some friends around town gathered together to do kind of a potluck brunch thing.
Aww.
Yeah, it was nice. It was a good time.
Taylor has friends outside of the show, guys.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm letting you all down.
Whatever.
I realize how heartbreaking it must be that I have friends other than you.
Nope.
So, well, fuck you too. Let's go ahead and get started. We have 4 topics tonight, so we're going to move pretty quickly through them. As always, you can send in your feedback throughout the show using Twitter. Our handle is @DudesBrunch. You can also tweet mean things at us individually while we're on screen. We're going to start with Tyler's topic. Tyler forever picking the low-hanging fruit. What do you have for us tonight, Tyler? What was the lowest possible thing? What was the first thing you saw in your kitchen when you woke up the other day that you wanted to talk about?
I actually don't have a sriracha, but thank you. The funny story is, this I was like, I'm in the mood for a cheeseburger today, so I went to Wendy's, and they had some creamy sriracha sauce. They got rid of their ranch buffalo sauce. They're like, we only have sriracha. I'm like, okay, whatever. I was like, you know what? Why does every place got sriracha now? What's up with that? The answer, nobody knows. Literally. So sriracha, very popular hot sauce. It's been used in like a lot of fast food places lately. It was apparently the ingredient of the year in 2010. Had no idea. The Oatmeal, not recently, but at one point did a comic about it. So it has some reasonable notoriety. And so what I want to know is what you guys feel about sriracha. If you like it, do you actually like it? Where did you find it first? And what do you like your sriracha with, if you do like it?
Yes, I do like. Hold on, I'm just going to go through. Have I had sriracha before? Yes. My first experience with it was actually at my girlfriend's sister's engagement party. Not her engagement party, her bridal shower. They had like a bunch of appetizers and they had it sitting around. and I just put it on a bunch of pizza, and it was really good. Yes, I do like it. I don't eat it all the time. I don't actually own any of it, but when I see it out, if I want it to be like spicy, then I'll get it. Mostly pizza and chicken. That's what I put it on. That answers all the questions in the first one, right?
There you go.
Okay.
I don't remember where I first discovered sriracha. Probably, I don't know, somebody had it at a party or something, some dinner function. But I really started liking it when I was doing this beans and rice charity fast a couple years ago, because just eating beans and rice for a week got really boring, but adding some sriracha to it, pretty dang good. So now I use it kind of sparingly, but I use it on any kind of like bland food that I want to make taste better. Rice, grits, cornbread, really any kind of grain food that I just want to spice up a little bit.
Seth?
Oh, I don't remember the first. Sorry, I don't remember the first time I experienced sriracha, but I know my roommate has some in our fridge, so he like puts it on everything and cooks it on everything. It's pretty good. I do enjoy it. I think I probably had it at a friend's house before that. But yeah, I think it adds something that. He cooked some food for me a couple weeks ago, and it was particularly good. It was like on some chicken and rice, and I added some like beans or something. But it's I don't know. I really like it.
Right. So I had it over at my friend Austin's house, in which his mother makes some of the best food I've ever had in my life. I don't know why. She's just really good at cooking. And I forget what meal it specifically was, but I just remember seeing sriracha and like someone else putting it on there. And so I put some on there, and I was like, this is amazing. It was blown back. And of course, you always put way too much, because the first time you have sriracha, you're like, oh, no big deal. It's so creamy and it flows so quickly. You could just squirt that shit all over it. And then you take a bite and you die. Your body melts. So, or as the oatmeal put it, a tasty firestorm. So like I almost immediately like got some more sriracha. Like I went to the store and like got some like within like a few weeks of like that happening, because I was so like excited about it, because I was going through probably like an Asian food kick or something like that. So that's sort of like why I asked that question, because I just like my first experience with it was so like, oh.
Can somebody gif that face? Somebody out there on the internet, please gif that.
Oh, there you go. Nice O face. Okay. Anyway, so the second question. So several fast food chains have added sriracha to their to their menu recently, and I want to know what you guys think. I sort of like led to that. Like, sriracha technically isn't trademarked, so you can just put sriracha on it and it's fine. So I'm thinking, am I something to do with it? Do you think it's because it's like a more like ownable like flavor? Is it because I don't know? It's sort of like that underground secret like hot sauce that everybody likes. It's not like Tabasco.
So before we move forward, I do want to read Zach's tweet from.
Yeah.
He says, "First sriracha encounter, put it on chicken salad on saltine crackers," which I think is kind of unique. I've never seen anybody do that.
It's a lot of sodium.
Yeah,
That's absolutely correct.
that blood pressure though.
I don't know if like maybe I feel like a lot of it has to do with the popularity of it. But when I was reading your articles, especially the one in the Guardian when they were talking about Worcestershire sauce,
Mm-hmm.
who was buying that for popularity? Like I've never went out to the store and been like, oh yeah, you know what we need? Worcestershire. I can't even say it.
Nobody can say it. That's
Like,
I still don't know.
And so I just like putting
Worcestershire.
those two together is like the weird. I just thought was like the weirdest thing. Like when was Worcestershire a popular sauce? Am I too young to remember this?
You know,
it's used in cooking a lot, but I couldn't tell you if it was ever popular on
sense.
its own.
I
don't think-
legitimately always forget that that Worcestershire is different from horseradish, like the stuff that you would put on like a roast beef sandwich. And I always forget.
That doesn't even make any damn sense.
The two things just for some reason just kind of like get jumbled up in my brain. I don't know. I'm not saying it's a good answer, Taylor. I'm just saying that's what happened.
Well, your mind is
Anyway.
wrong, and you should feel bad.
Oh.
That's right, Taylor.
Children, back to the podcast. Back to answering the
I'm
question.
fine.
Yeah, Seth was trying to say something.
Right, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say I think the Worcestershire sauce, or however the heck you say it, is I don't think it's something of our generation because I just remember my parents talking about it and they put it on everything, but I didn't really even know how to pronounce it, let alone even what it tasted like. So it eventually then moved on probably to like Tabasco and Frank's Red Hot, right? And then and now we're at Sriracha.
Right. I feel like Red Hot was probably the last stuff that was like, I remember being in Boy Scouts and that was always like the thing, like, oh, if you put hot sauce on it, you can make anything taste good, which I never really thought was true because I think that hot sauce, if you put a lot of it on it, tastes like vomit. So it just has that really acidy taste. It does. That's not me just saying like it just tastes gross.
True.
Like it really has like an acidy taste to it.
Unlike Creole seasoning, which is literally good on everything.
Right.
All about that Creole. Also, I can't read it, but the screenshot that Nathan just tweeted at us is priceless, and I retweeted it on the Dudes Brunch Twitter for everyone's viewing enjoyment. Just as a reminder to everyone playing along on Twitter, you can also play along via the bingo board on our website, dudesbrunch.wordpress.com/bingo. There may or may not have been a bingo in this show already.
There was.
There definitely was.
There was a bunch.
Can I play?
No, you're on
Even
the show.
though-
You're not eligible.
That's not
So-
fair.
I have to say, Tyler, I think it is kind of the secret underdog hot sauce, like your question said. I think the Guardian said that as well. Because I think we have gone through this, like, let's put jalapenos on everything, let's put nacho cheese on everything, let's put chili on everything.
Pretzel buds.
Pretzel buns! Yeah, I think Sriracha is, like, the accessory
Is it just because
thing of the
fast
moment.
food restaurants need gimmicky things to get us to come buy their products?
Let's fry.
Let's check in with our fast food correspondent, Tyler Reed. Is this true?
I don't know. I work at Chipotle. We don't give a fuck about anybody. So, we're still waiting on pork. So, whatever. But no.
Why didn't Chipotle have Sriracha sauce?
Because I'm pretty sure we're like funded. Like, I'm pretty sure like Tabasco like sends us dollar bills. So
I'm gonna say. Will you like
We
scroll
do.
punt anybody who brings in Sriracha from the outside?
no,
Okay.
whatever.
Pro tip,
So it's
kids.
gonna bring it in and
That's
just like throw it all
part
over.
of our. If you want to bring in Doritos and you want to put it at the bottom of your bowl, we'll do it for you. But you can't hand it over the glass. You have to go. It has to go around.
No touching.
We're specifically told that we're allowed to, like, whatever the customer wants to do to make their experience better is fair game.
Okay.
So
Maybe
Matt-
not like. I mean, that's illegal, so probably not. But I mean,
That's bad customer service to me. Zach says, I keep Frank's Sriracha and Worcestershire in the house, all for different things. Zach, I want to know what things you use Worcestershire for. That's the whole point of the question. Jeez, pay attention.
that's the answer
Well-
we need. We need to know what Worcestershire is used for.
Well, if you
What
like
other
certain
questions you
things,
got, Tyler?
I don't know. Have any of you tried any Sriracha flavored things from any fast food restaurants?
No.
Nope.
No?
I don't need out. I'm broke.
That's right. Hello?
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
No, I really don't eat out, like, hardly ever.
That's really it. It was really kind of.
Oh, no. Okay, so I do have a point of contention here.
Okay.
On one of the articles that you wrote, somebody wrote down the dumbest line I've ever heard. Well, not ever, but pretty stupid. Probably this week. That Sriracha was essentially just spicy ketchup. How dare you? How dare you?
yeah, so
I mean, I would say it's kind of like spicy ketchup. It definitely has the
It kind
consistency of ketchup. That's kind of
yeah,
why
it
I
has the
like it.
creaminess.
Well,
Oh,
diesel
okay.
comes out of the same pump as gas, but you can't put it in a gas engine.
Jet fuel can't melt steel beams, Sean.
That's not
That's a
what.
pretty dank beat, Taylor.
It is a pretty dank meme. We got clarification. Zach says Worcestershire, seasoning beef for grilling. I can understand that.
So it only has one purpose.
I think it's
For
just
seasoning?
general red meat seasoning.
Okay. Like salt.
Yeah. Anything else on Sriracha before we move on?
Nope, that's it. We'll do a quick hit.
All right.
Short topic, no problem.
Cool, cool, cool. So we brought Seth on this week because he wants to talk to us about something I know is near and dear to his heart. Home recording.
Oh.
Seth, what do you have for us?
Okay, yeah. Well, I chose this topic. Well, it's because it is very close to me. I have actually. Well, I would rather like to have my own home studio one day. It's something very valuable to a lot of musicians and artists themselves who would just even have a studio or somewhere they can work in their in their basement, which is where I am actually right now. I'm looking at my drum set. It's not there. But the idea behind it is that you can kind of, at least for musicians, that you can soundproof and sort of deck out like an entire area in your own home with sound equipment and lots of gear for recording. And usually you might have two designated areas, one for the actual recording, and then one nearby or in a separate room that you kind of have a makeshift like control room. But that may not be separate at all. It really just depends on the home and the space that you're using. But it's really valuable to someone that plays music to record themselves, whether it's for rehearsal or practicing purposes. But like these people will probably try to send the tracks to a producer, and then the producer will then the person recording will record with whatever the producer sent them, and then they'll send it back to them, just like a straight transaction almost, which is not really that familiar. Something that familiar in the music business. So then they'll put it with the rest of the parts of the album or whatever they're recording that they record in their home studio. So this makes the musician or whoever more valuable to the producer and the recording company because they don't have to rent out studio time. And then it's also useful if you're like in the DIY scene and you don't have a record label and you just want to do it yourself. So it's something. It's definitely like a late 20th and 21st century ideal that makes everyone a lot more valuable and actually everyone able to make records. So you can have a laptop, doesn't even have to be a MacBook, and maybe a little bit of gear. And depending on what you're recording, you can probably make a record really quickly. So, or whatever you're trying to make. So that's the topic. I sent everyone kind of this little article that was about making records outside of the studio, and was just asking, like, can a really award-winning record be made in someone's home? Like, is that even possible, and has it been done before? Well, it has actually been done before, plenty of times, but that's something we can get to as well. So, yeah. So, questions to you guys. What do you think? Is it possible?
To do just an award-winning record, or just home recording in general?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
No, you probably can't do that. No,
No. We're not home recording right now or anything.
no.
No, not at all. But is it possible to make an award-winning record? I just kind of answered the question,
Yeah.
but do you think it's possible, and how do you think it's possible? Like, how can it be done the right way?
Yeah. Oh, okay. So when I read the first article, the Pro Sounds article, I don't know. What I got from it was that you could. I kind of like, because I think you can make award-winning music from your home. I don't even think it necessarily has to be done on like A+ equipment, because to what they said, if you write good music, if you make good music, it'll find its way out there. People will find it. It will get made popular. I think. I think that there's still like an audience out there that wants to hear genuinely good music. and kind of what I got from that, I was talking to Sarah before the show, and I was saying, like, he kind of said, to sum it up, a lot of them said, like, you can polish a turd, but it's still a turd, but if you have a rough cut diamond, it's still a diamond. You know what I mean? It's like, you can't make something that's awful great just by having high sonic quality. You have to have something that's already great, and then, you know, the finishing details are made by having awesome recording.
As a side note, I'm going to add Shaun makes a metaphor using turds to the bingo board, because that's like the third or fourth time you've done that on this show.
Does a turd wear a hat? Yeah, it's still a turd, though.
That was the first one. I'm getting a bunch of tweets on this one. So Zach says, high school was a lot of jam sessions recorded by hanging a rock band microphone from the basement rafters, which is DIY as hell.
Yes, it was.
Catherine says, my brother's trumpet mentor has like a recording closet with a foot-thick door and soundproofing. It's great. So I guess I'll jump in now that I've read tweets. I think it's totally doable to make award-winning music in your home. I think Shaun summed up my thoughts on like the aesthetics of it really well. But you could make really good sounding stuff in your home now too.
That's kind of the question at hand, is like, well, you can make, there's plenty of records that have been made and they have this kind of retro or like kind of, I don't know, grungy sound almost, and that's easy to do, like even on your iPhone speakers, or just on a mic that you picked
polished.
up at Walmart. Yeah, but making something polished and making something sound like it would be on the top 40, is that possible? And how?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, why not?
For like a very clear example of that, "Give Up" by the Postal Service was recorded largely in homes and in non-conventional ways and in separate cities and tracks sent back and forth via email. So I mean, that record has been hugely successful, and it's like almost 10 years old. Such Great Heights has been covered probably more than any song in the 21st century. So yeah, I think it's possible in the music end. I think it's especially possible for what we're doing in the podcast space. One of my favorite podcasts right now is called Strangers. I'll put a link down in the doobly-doo. It's largely recorded in the narrator's closet. So she goes out and does interviews with her subjects in their home, just like in their living room, and then she goes back in and edits in her commentary in a closet in her apartment. And it sounds amazing, and it's really well put together and really well produced. If you're not listening to Strangers, it will like kick you straight in the feels every single time. I think like a year ago, she did a series where she went back and talked to everyone who ever broke up with her and tried to figure out why. Like, yeah, it's the most strangely moving podcast.
That's some high fidelity stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it sounds beautiful, and it's really gut-wrenching, and yeah, I highly recommend Strangers. There will be links in the show notes. So yeah, I think it's totally doable. I think it's already being done.
I mean, that's most
kind of
electronic dance music? I'm pretty sure those guys don't have. They're not just like dingle-donging on like baby's first piano at like their home place and then build it out.
Well,
Dingle-dongling on baby's first piano. The new Skrillex single.
Yeah! I don't see why not.
I mean, you can make a fair amount of electronic music just from your laptop, but
Yeah.
I guess recording anything live or like, I mean, even stuff that's recorded live can be put through filters and all sorts of things to make it just sound genuinely better, or but I guess that's the point. So what might make it award winning to you guys? Like, is there a certain like kind of sound quality, or is it maybe the mastering? Like, what do you think maybe in what you might have seen in the articles? Because a lot of it was like some of the gear that you have to own, which may or may not be pricey, and a lot of it was, just by happenstance something sounded particularly good, like right place, right time. So, what do you think?
I feel like some of it has to do with mastery. Like, being able to do that is a definite skill, And the reason I say that is because when I do my mastery, it's just iTunes presets, or I should say just GarageBand presets, that I just go through like one by one and just listen for a little bit and see like, okay, do I like this? And then maybe I'll go back and like fine tune it just a little bit, like, okay, well I want to hear a little bit more bass, or like it's very amateur hour, everything that I do, and like I don't know, but I hear that stuff when I listen to music, and I feel like when it comes to mixing stuff, when it comes to putting together an album, like if you have a really keen ear, you can hear the difference. Like I don't know if you guys have ever sat down and listened to how drums are mic'd when you listen to an album, but listen to a drummer do a fill and see if it goes from the right to the left or the left to the right.
Right.
Or where the snare drum sounds, or like where the hi-hat sounds. Like you can really get an understanding for like how engineering in the studio works when you listen to drums in particular, I think, because it's not just coming from one area, but there are multiple mics getting that particular thing done. So I think a lot of it has to do with mastery, because you really put everything together there.
Yeah, something
Yeah,
it talked about. Yeah, go ahead.
I think there's a lot of merit to that, but I think at the same time you can do a lot of that in the home. You just have to have a very high technical skill. People I think of with that are like Animal Collective, who have done, their more recent albums have been done in studio, but some of their early stuff was done in homes. Moby has recorded a ton of his recent releases in his various homes. But again, these are people that have worked as DJs, have worked as producers. Like they've been doing this for years and years and years and really know what they're doing. And they're kind of doing weird stuff. Like one of the tracks on the new Moby record, the whole song is run through a distortion pedal that gets slowly turned up as the song goes on. So this isn't normal mastering. I think if you're working around the fact that you're doing it in your home and doing weird creative stuff like that, it can be really powerful, but you have to know what you're doing really well going into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of the time it's just the person behind behind the board or whatever they're behind. But that's what it talked about, especially that like you have to have someone that's kind of crazy enough and knows what they're doing, just literally in charge of the whole thing, or at least in charge of the mastering process, which is always usually the hardest process, if not the miking in general, if you were doing live instruments. So moving on to the next question, what would be your favorite sound quality to hear from recording, and like I guess, so maybe what is your favorite recording in that sense, and why? So like, yeah.
Tyler's making a face. What's up with the face, Tyler?
I mean, as like an example, with like the way that the 59 sound is, like the way that the vocals are handled, is that an example of like what you're talking about? Because it sounds like it's being put through like a tin can. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely. Just like techniques or anything, or like a favorite recording you have, and you like that recording specifically because the vocals come out in this section, or that one word sounds like the snare drum, or something in particular. Like, why is it your favorite?
That's tough, man. You're making me think.
It's the idea.
Not necessarily my favorite album, but in terms of recording technique, I really love Campfire Songs by Animal Collective. The way they recorded it is they actually took a bunch of field recorders out into their backyard and lit a fire and just improvised for like 2 hours. And so you can hear the actual campfire, and you can hear the bugs and the different nature sounds and everything. And that was kind of like the concept of the record, like the conceit of it was, this is just going to be a quick, dirty, improvised record.
Yeah, there's a lot of concept albums like that like really go along with that idea of like it's almost like a found sound that you didn't just like take a sample of something and splice it in. You actually were there. Like the Jackson Browne record, Running on Empty, was literally recorded all on the road, and actually the song The Road was recorded in the bus while they were on tour, and you can hear like the shifting of gears in the road and everything. And half of it was recorded like on the bus or in like a hotel room or something, and that's literally the point of the record, is like being on the road and being away from your family and all these deep things.
I think that can backfire too, though. I was really not a fan of the last Gorillaz album, The Fall, that was made all on iPads on the road. I mean, the technology was pretty primitive at the time, but it just felt really constrained and not that interesting compared to the normal Gorillaz fare.
Yeah, if one of those albums comes out, it's like really easy to lose a fan who just wants that one particular sound. So if an artist who actually wants to be an artist and do something different rather than the same thing over and over, it may cost them some people. But like at least they're trying to change it up a little bit, I guess. Tyler, Shaun, what about you?
I think I have like two that come to mind. My first one is the dance/electronic artist Matt Zhu. His last album was really good. I think I've trained myself to have a little bit of autonomous sensory meridian response a little bit. So like when I listen to music, I can feel it a little bit, and like I don't know, I don't necessarily think that that's real, but like I like to think about it like that. That's why mixing and mastering is like I listen for it a lot because it's really cool. Like you can feel how the producers and masters like or the artist wanted the music to move through your ears and back and forth, or have like different little bits here and there in this right ear and left ear. And then in terms of rock, there was a hardcore band called Scatter the Ashes, and they're not around anymore. They made like one album, but it's like super hardcore, and they have like 5 different musicians, and it all comes from different directions all the time. It was produced like magically. They made one album, then they fell off the earth. So they're
That
no
album
longer
does
around.
sound beautiful.
But it's really cool, and it's not anything that you would expect. So
Those albums are always beautiful, and a bunch of people that have like completely different ideals just come together and like make something out of the blue, and then like disappear because it was like, well, that was a one-time thing. If we do it again, we're just gonna be a bunch of hacks. So
Cough, cough, secret and whisper, cough.
yeah, that's a good one too.
That second album's so bad. Tyler, did you have something?
I would say that I want none of these things, and I want it just to be as even keel as possible, because like there's nothing worse than like you're listening to like maybe like a punk like playlist, and you're listening to just like some more contemporary stuff, and then all of a sudden you get that bombshell of like Black Flag and their like potato recordings, and you're like, well, it just feels different. Like not like just like with the music, but like the way it's recorded, it just sounds just not the same, and it's jarring and it feels bad. So I like, as much as I want.
Sounds like they just like took a bunch of oil and like did this against the microphone for a couple minutes.
Right. It just sounds
Or something.
old and crusty and like not like well like recorded. Like it just sounds bad.
That's so weird to hear from you, though, because you're like an old school punk kind of guy. Like you like your Black Flags and your Misfits and stuff.
The Misfits actually have a better recording quality a lot of the time. Well, actually, it depends. Because, shit, what the fuck is the album?
Static Age?
Yeah, Static Age, well recorded. But, like, the one with skulls on it, not as good. Not as good quality.
But I think you're kind of approaching it from this 21st century thing of, like, I'm just going
Right.
to put all of punk forever, like the last 40 years of music, on shuffle.
Right.
And the stuff that sounds old is old.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, I'm
So-
hating on you, but I understand where you're coming from at the same time.
I mean,
I actually kind of like that. I don't know. I kind of like the fuzzy, I think it adds something to it.
well, then there needs to be more fuzz altogether, but there's not, so
Slap
that's
some
what
fuzz
makes
on
it
that
hard
bit.
to like. I mean, you could say that.
Just run your whole music collection through a fuzz pedal.
But I don't know. I just think that like that adds something to it. Like I really like antique wood furniture, and when I go to IKEA, I still like IKEA. I think that there's a place for both of those. Like it's okay to like both those aesthetics. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that.
But are you,
Good analogy,
Tyler? Are you saying
Shaun.
that you like prefer everything to be a little bit cleaner
Yeah. Do you like
Um,
cleanliness?
in general?
I guess that's what I am saying. Well, I mean, that's the problem I had with the 59 sound specifically, was that it was using it sounded like an older recording style, and it really inhibited it from being playlistable, because it just hits you with a completely different recording sound. And
yeah, because it's made to sound like Phil Spector, Bruce Springsteen, right. Wall of Sound stuff.
Right. So it's a new album, but sounds old. So it's hard to put it with new if the new sounds old, and you can't put the new old with the old, and then because then this.
See, and this is why playlists are sometimes bad. Sometimes you just need to listen to a whole album. You know what I mean?
Well, when Spotify...
You should really listen to it on vinyl, man. Vinyl's the way to do it. If somebody just lit your vinyl on fire, it wouldn't burn it. It would just warp it a little bit, and sometimes it sounds cooler.
Well, let me just put my record player my record player in my car while I'm driving to work, and we'll see how that goes. So.
I was making a reference, but okay, fuck you.
It's okay.
Zach says, I'll deviate from the concept album idea. I really enjoy heavily produced, tight recordings of drums. For example, Cobus Potgeider's drum covers on YouTube. I have no idea how to pronounce that. And Catherine says, some people like to record flute and spiritual music in Egyptian pyramids or temples. The acoustics really add something. That's actually... Do you mind if I interject a question, Seth?
Go for it.
So does knowing the place that something's recorded change it for you guys?
No.
I figured you would say that, Seth, because you listen to a lot of jazz.
Well,
when you listen to live at the Newport, it sounds very specific. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, I think particularly with live records you can tell a difference. But also, I don't know, there are certain studios that just have certain sounds, things recorded at Electric Ladyland, for example, have a certain sound to them. Would you agree with that?
I mean, Seth? Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, that's another thing the article talked about, is literally it's just the space may have a different sound entirely. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. It doesn't have to be that kind of, I guess, fuzzier for Tyler, that fuzzier sound. I know what was it?
He just pieced the hell out. He's like, I don't like this. Nah, his internet probably crapped out.
Oh, okay.
While we're waiting on him to come back. Oh, sorry, go ahead. You can finish your thought.
Oh, no, it's okay. I just wanted to ask if why do you think customers or any musician is so attracted to the idea of recording it themselves when you're going to get the sound you want, whether it's clean or not, from a professional? Why? I mean, yeah, it's cheaper, I guess, but why would they not just hire someone to master it?
Well, I think this is a really good question, and like you were saying in the beginning, about how now you can record yourself and then send it off to have it mastered and then come back and there's not a big deal. I don't know. I know that you're really familiar with having to record and how much of a time-consuming process that is to actually go to some place and have it be recorded, and how if you have to pay, it costs you a lot of money.
You'll get that, you think you'll get that one track in a 4-hour session?
No way. You are dead wrong. You're gonna get down the
4 hours,
half a minute of a guitar track, and you are gonna be toast.
The drums won't even be mic'd until 3 hours in.
So I don't know. I think that's why people like it a little bit, because it gives them a little bit more. If anything, it gives you a little bit of practice. And I think everybody kind of has. That's maybe. And this is gonna be going off into my political science thing. There might be something in the larger geist of America, the kind of do-it-yourself kind of mentality that pervades in a lot of stuff that we do, that you can, as long as you have the heart and you're dedicated, you can do it. And I'm glad to see that the market has given people who want to do this cheap, viable options that produce really good quality. relative to the amount that you would have to pay to have a studio. I mean, no longer are we in the days when you have to have, if you want to record outside of the studio, you literally have to have a truck drive to where you want to record, do the recordings, and then, like drive the truck back and do everything else. Now you can just plug it into your iPad or your phone. And how crazy
Yeah,
is that?
I love that the DIY scene has just like exploded everywhere, and you can literally do it all yourself, and everybody loves it.
Well, we could talk about this for a whole other hour, but I want to get to the other topics because we have 2 more to cover. We're going to move slightly away from music for a second because I want to talk about commuting, and there's no good segue for that. So, except segways. You could, in theory, commute on a Segway, I guess. It'd be really impractical.
But Taylor, you're the king of segues, and you just
I know.
made a decent segue.
There we go.
Thank you. All right, so commuting and commuter culture is something that I'm really interested in. I sent around some articles and a TED Talk, and my first question for you guys is just how much do you typically drive/commute in a day, in a week?
40 minutes a day, 5 days a week.
Wow.
Jeez. No way. I would say I guess I have to do either like a 15-minute walk or like a 5-minute drive.
But you have more irregular driving to gigs and stuff.
Yeah, so I guess, if you recorded, or the real job that I count as my real job, gigs, would be at least anywhere from 20 minutes to 2 hours.
Tyler?
20 minutes a day, 5 days a week. There you go.
I am also 20 minutes a day, 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Wow, Tyler, you and I spend 100 minutes in the car each week. And Shaun spends, double that? So 200 minutes in the car?
I try to maximize my time, so audiobooks and stuff.
Which is something we're going to talk about. So Seth and I are in Athens, Tyler's in Cincinnati, and Shaun's in Akron. So this is kind of an... Yes, Akron. So I'm going to actually do this question 2 ways. Are you from a commuting area originally, like where you grew up, which for 3 of us is the same answer? And are you living in a car commuting area now?
Yes.
No, yes.
Okay, so we all grew up in car commuting areas, right?
Yeah, I was in a suburb of Columbus where most people would work and then commute like 20 or 30 minutes. And now in Athens, most people commute a little bit to work, or they have to, just in Athens, or they go to, Lancaster or somewhere in West Virginia or Columbus. So they could go anywhere.
Yeah, the 3 of us all grew up about 20, 30 minutes outside of Cincinnati, so it was very car commuting. I guess I can call it car commuting here. I think we do a lot more foot commuting here in Athens than we do in other places. But a lot of the people that I work with in Nelsonville commute in from Logan or Athens or Parkersburg.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a guy that commutes in all the way from Marietta.
What?
It's like an 80-minute drive each way every day.
Do you know how bad that really, how awful that is? When that one summer that I worked in Cleveland and I lived in Worcester, it is literally an hour and a half drive. I would spend 3 hours a day in the car driving to work. And after that, I didn't drive for 4 months. I just rode my bike and walked everywhere.
So that's what I wanted to talk about. How do you think commuting changes the way you view a city? Or
This is what I'm looking for right now. I want to move to a city where I don't have to have a car because they're expensive and they cost a lot of money, and I would rather spend that time that I'm idling in traffic reading books or doing work or pursuing other interests that are much more valuable than having a car.
Tyler, Seth?
Agreed.
But how does it make you think about the space that you're in? Because I think we can all agree that we don't want to sit in traffic.
Yeah, no one wants to sit in traffic. That's
Right.
a nightmare.
But do you think of the physical space of where you live differently when you're using a car every day?
Yes.
How
Because
so?
it's more of a separate unit. So you live somewhere and then you have a road to get there, and then that's where your workspace is. They're like completely separate. Whether or not you live in the same city, it's just a separate idea to you.
Right. Well, I think too. Okay, go ahead. I'll let Tyler
No,
go.
go ahead.
You haven't lived in Athens where there's lots of foot commuting. And I know when you visited here one time, you were like, it's just so weird that you all walk everywhere and you like run into people you know on the street.
That's right. And it's still weird, but I've been hanging out downtown a lot more, so I understand sort of more of the walking lifestyle, and it's certainly much more enjoyable than having to like drive anywhere when I could just instead walk downstairs and get my coffee.
Do you feel more like you live in a place as opposed to just like going from place to place now that you're walking more?
Well, you see, Tim, we could directly translate this into board game mechanics. So kind of what Seth was saying is like it kind of feels like you're going from a node to like another node, like they're just 2 points on like a map. Whereas like if you're like walking, you feel like you're going on a grid. Like each individual space is like has an opportunity for something to happen. Like because it feels like you go less spaces when you're walking. I mean, obviously you're traveling less space, but there's like more opportunities like for things to happen in the grid of walking to a place than it is there.
Yeah.
Node. Because then you're just listening to something, or like someone wrecks their car or whatever. You know, there's like 2 options. You either get there or you don't.
Right. Like I pass like 1 billion bars from my home to the School of Music, so that or like I see a bunch of people that I know or like their houses, so I could stop there. It's not just like a one and done where you're one
you
place.
You can stop at every bar in every person's house, and
And
then
never
go to
make it
class.
And then go to class. That's the OU life.
Shaun, having grown up in Cincinnati, moved to Akron and done the college thing, stayed in Akron/Cleveland working, then come down here, did grad school, and go back up there and doing car commuting again. What's your perspective on this? Does driving make you feel like less of a citizen of that place or less interacted with the area around you?
Not really. I feel like all of them, it's just things that I like to do. Like, driving is a really stressful thing for me. Not because, I mean, thankfully I've never gotten in like an accident or anything like that. But like, I don't know, I like to walk more because I think it really is more relaxing to walk someplace or ride your bike or something like that. Like it's even in the winter when it's really cold. Like the process is more meditative for me than getting in the car. I always feel like when I'm in the car, it's just idle time. Like it really is just wasted time, where you're trying to get from point A to point B, and you literally cannot do anything meaningful in between. Which is really strange to me because when I talk to Greg, like Greg, I know really likes to drive, like he loves driving, and I just never got that about him. Like what was so exciting about driving, or what's so liberating about driving, because it just wasn't.
I like driving a lot myself, but I never really thought about it that way, that you really can't do anything in between. I mean, I guess that's why a lot of people break the law and text a lot when they're doing it, because they just want to multitask or get something done because they think it's useless and it's not going to affect them.
Right.
But you could also be listening to music as probably your first option, or a book. But yeah, I never thought about it like that. Don't make me depressed, Shaun.
No.
I like driving. Don't ruin it
Seth
for me.
is obviously a frequent viewer of this show.
It was just It was just that one summer when I literally drove like 3 hours a day. Like it literally just turned me off to driving so much. Like we drove to Washington D.C. that summer as well, and we sat in the car for 6 hours, and everybody was like, "This is gonna be such a long drive," and part of me was like, "This is like 2 days worth of driving for me, so this isn't a big deal."
Right. No,
Like,
I had that problem last summer, where I was like living half in Athens and half in the Columbus area, and I just like got so sick of driving on 33, and I came up with things to do, but it did ruin driving for me, and I like lost a lot of money that way, and I was always worried I was going to get ticketed, and there's a lot of problems.
Exactly. It's so stressful when you have to drive because, I mean, and think about how expensive it is to own a car too. Like it's such a weird thing.
Yeah, I think to identify with what Seth was saying, I'm doing a lot of Athens to Cincinnati right now, and it really does just make you hate driving. But I can also side with Greg, where sometimes driving is really liberating for me. I think there's a difference between driving and commuting.
Yeah,
and maybe that's what Greg's talking about.
Yeah.
Because just going for a drive or going on a road trip is liberating in a way.
Right.
Driving the same route, like the most efficient route between you and your office every day, is just exhausting.
Right.
And the reason I put this question in there, and it's kind of in the TED Talk where it talks about drivable cities or walkable cities are healthier cities. People are more interactive with each other. There's better senses of community.
Yeah.
That's something that I'm really fascinated by, and I think it's partially since moving to Athens where there's so much walking.
Right.
I would be very interested to live in a community where I could walk to the store, work, and like a coffee shop or a bar.
Right.
All within walkable distance, and just see like how little I would use my car and whether or not I would feel bad about it or feel different.
I've never seen it in a big city. I've never seen it in a larger city than Athens. Because in Athens, you can kind of walk to a few grocery stores. Like I see a lot of the people that don't have cars getting their groceries from like CVS, but you can't like walk all the way to Kroger or Walmart or something. But yeah, it would be interesting to see in a larger setting.
Yeah. But let's just be real. Like all of us live in a place where, or have lived in a place where, like, you walk by so many places that like Tyler can walk downstairs and see the coffee shop below that has like on Mondays maybe they have like $1 large coffee or something, and like he gets a sense of the community from that. Like when all of us live in Athens or lived in Athens, you know, like you walk down Court Street and you see like, Red Brick has pound wing night or something for $4.99. It does kind of like promote a little bit of this like community that you're like, oh, you know what? I was planning on making dinner, but for $4, I'll get a pound of wings. You know,
and we did that one time, and it was fun. And I think that's kind of what I'm sensing, and this is a larger body of work that we don't have time to get into. But since suburbanization, you really don't see that in a lot of cities anymore, where, like Seth was saying, there aren't very many cities where you could just walk to a grocery store, which is how everybody used to do grocery shopping.
Right.
You used to do your grocery shopping by the day and walk around to the corner store. That's where that expression comes from. And I think that's a really interesting part of our society that is going away, and I'm wondering if things like self-driving cars and gridlock and our generation in particular seems to really hate car commuting.
I am ready for self-driving cars.
Yeah, I'm wondering if maybe
ready for self-driving cars.
Could you survive without a car now, and do you see 10 years in the future a lifestyle where you could actually do those things and survive without a car? Like go to the store, go out, do everything you need to do by foot or by bike.
I make a living off of carrying heavy things around and hitting them for people. So that one's not really possible unless the self-driving car is like can carry all my stuff, or if someone is willing to walk and carry my base drum for me. So no for me.
Since I don't have to do what Seth does, yes. Well, no, I can't see my lifestyle being that good without a car right now. Like that said, I do need my car to commute to work, and without my car, I can't make money. So I need my car. But yes, I mean, the sooner the better. I'm ready to have self-driving cars. I don't know if I can afford one of these, but I mean, I'm ready to see it.
Tyler, could you survive without a car 10 years from now? Do you think you'll be able to survive without a car?
I sure hope so, because boy oh boy, do I believe in my fingers crossed hope of a completely online internet community that will support me.
Thanks, 21st century social anxiety boy.
But think about okay, so you watched TED Talk and you saw that the reason why public transit fails is because the way that neighborhoods are designed, there is literally no way to have accurate and grand public transit arrive on time and have anything like that. It's just laden with problems that are already in place. But when you think about what the inefficiencies that cars do, that regular commuting has, you realize that realistically, I don't know about you guys. I don't know about you, Taylor, because you travel a lot on the highways. You don't really hit a lot of stoplights, I imagine, besides when you get into Nelsonville and when you're leaving Athens. But for me, I drive a lot on city roads to get to work, and a lot of my time is spent standing at stoplights, idling, just going nowhere, literally just burning fuel for its own existence. And that's what bothers me about commuting, and it bothers me about not coming on public transit because it is so inefficient, and I'm the only one that drives in my car. Literally nobody gets anything out of it besides me.
Yeah, and we're already running long, so I don't want to dive all the way into this. There's going to be lots of links down in the description on this. But I think that's a really interesting point you brought up, Shaun, that partially because of the suburbanization thing, we aren't designed for public transit, but we're not designed to do what we do now either. Car commuting is as bad or worse, yet we don't fund public transit in the way that other countries do.
That's right, because infrastructure isn't sexy.
Infrastructure isn't sexy. Link in the description if you haven't seen that video.
What are you doing, Bridge? What you doing over there, huh? Looking all bridgy.
Slowly crumbling and about to collapse. That's what it's doing over there.
It's having a Don Draper-style crisis. If this is something that people feel strongly about, we can definitely do a follow-up on this, but I do want to get to Tyler's question, or Shaun's questions, sorry. But before I do, we'll just blast through these tweets real quick. Zach spent the summer in an internship in Chicago. He says, over the summer, his commute was 50 minutes door-to-door, twice a day, 5 days a week, but it was primarily by foot and train because Chicago is very public transit friendly, although he grew up in Columbus, which is not. And Catherine says, cars suck, pollution, I would rather walk everywhere still, except, ! Grocery shopping. Can't wait for that Cincy streetcar. I will be very interested, Catherine, to hear how popular the streetcar is in your neighborhood when it goes in.
It's literally the most important. It's the street to be on. So, and it runs right by your house. So,
It'll be very interesting.
Yeah.
It'll take you right down to the casino.
That's right. That crumbling casino.
They just built it.
It's apparently not doing very well, is what I heard, but
fine.
I don't know. That's not backed up by science, I'm just guessing. That's what I heard somewhere.
Well, speaking of things not backed up by science, Shaun wants to talk about what could be the most hardcore of metals coming out of the greater Oregon area. Portland hero metal.
No. I should say, okay, so I'll just clarify here. So the title this week of my section is called The Portland Hero Metal Narrative. And it's not really so much that it's hero metal as I was watching a litany of music videos this weekend, metal music videos in particular, actually it was last weekend. And I came across a couple bands that, a lot of it seemed to be around hero basis, and not even so much, one of them was fantasy, but a lot of it was more average hero kind of stuff. So I posted two music videos. One is of a Portland band called Red Fang. It's called Crows and Swine. It's an animated music video. Basically, the plot line of the video is kind of I don't know, what would you guys say? Tell me if I get this right. It's it seems to be a Mongolian warlord tribe that kind of goes on the attack against a village, and a young girl is chosen to go and save them, and she goes out to the sacred mountains where she gets the gods, who happen to be the band, to fly into the village and kill all kill all the attackers. But they all have like awesome metal superhero powers. Like one of them is on a recliner and has a TV remote that shoots lasers. The other one has a basket full of cats that attack people. The other one smashes people's skulls in with guitars. Things like that, very metal-y things. But at the end of the day, they ended up saving the village, and the girl is crowned like queen of the village. The next one, the only other one right now, is it's by a band called Lord Dying, and it's called Poisoned Altars. Doesn't really have much to do with the music video, I think, but like basically it's about, in Portland, a bunch of the band in particular. They're trying to save Portland from a bunch of corporate yuppies that are going around killing metal people for sport and taking like selfies with the dead metal heads and stuff like that. And actually, if you look close, you'll see Red Fang actually guest stars in the video.
Hey, what up?
So that was cool. I noticed that was kind of a neat little play. So I'll just go right into questions because I think it will help us get along. So did you guys have a favorite video? Was there one that you liked more than the other?
I really liked the Red Fang one, a lot. It was goofy. It was goofy but artful, whereas the other one just felt really goofy. And so I much preferred the Red Fang one. I think they were both good though.
I don't know if artful is the right word.
It was artistic. Let's go with that.
Well, so is the other one. They're both. It's okay.
Well, tell us how you
okay.
really feel about it, Tyler. Come on.
It certainly is graphically reduced illustrations, motion graphics. That's right, Taylor. That is what it is.
Well, I know that's what it is, Tyler. I'm not an idiot.
Okay.
Well, Red Fang for me was something I would kind of like find in a comic book or something, and I do like the animated part of it, but I for some reason like Poison Altars a lot more for its kind of satirical points.
I agree. Tyler, you never really said which one you liked better.
Red Fang.
Okay.
Oh,
Red
so you
Fang.
hated on me even though I liked the same one as you.
No, you just called it artful, which both music videos are art, so it's like, I don't...
Yeah, and this pen is art, and, you know...
That's right, because art's all about context.
Haters gonna hate, Taylor.
Okay, so it's awesome that we have a split. We have like a split thing here that everybody, two people like different videos. So okay, a kind of naive question that I asked when I was writing this, and without doing much like mental thought into this, because that's what all thought is. Did you guys get a feeling that there was kind of a Portland against the world kind of thing, like the narrative of hero metal, especially these two particular videos, kind of had that like keep Portland weird vibe, that like everybody, that there was some outsiders and there was some insiders, and did you guys
Isn't
get
that
that
the
feeling?
whole metal thing?
I don't know.
It seems
Yes,
very metal to me.
Taylor. You
I
just don't get it.
Look, let's all just be condescending towards me, why don't we? See if I ever bring you back on this show.
That's a
Seth.
bingo.
I think everybody's insulted you now. There we go.
Hey, what up?
So I don't know. What do you think? Is it just metal against the world? Because I see what you're saying there. Like, you think it's definitely metal against the world, period. But you think there's like a Portland metal against Portland, or a Portland metal against all kinds of other metals?
Maybe in a sense for Poison Altars, because I don't know, killing the yuppies was pretty hilarious to me, and it might have been. I mean, I guess all metal is against all other kinds of metal, so maybe the question is moot. I don't know.
Are you trying to say that there's a metal civil war? Is that what you're trying to say?
Maybe.
Absolutely.
There's like a bunch of metal tribes out there that are constantly attacking one another.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
certainly
But, I mean,
seems that they're yeah.
So now I have a question for everybody individually. Taylor, as a not so metal listener, did you enjoy the videos? Did you enjoy the music because of the videos?
Yes.
Because I know that you hate metal. I know that you can't stand anything louder than like 2 decibels. So
I don't hate metal. I just have a really hard time understanding it.
why?
But I don't know. There's just something about
What?
that
You can't understand their
style.
voices?
No,
like,
it's not the
yeah,
voices.
literally, you can't understand the words.
No, I don't think that's a problem for me because I listen to a lot of stuff where you can't understand the words. But I think it's a mix of the vocal delivery being so brash and the guitars being used almost like as percussion. Like they're just so the notes and melodies almost aren't important. It's just so much about like the rhythm that it just doesn't really gel well with me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the weird thing to metal to me a lot, is that I never understand what the actual message of the song is, but you can get like the harshness of it, like how, you can maybe guess what the message is supposed to be if you can't understand the words, but if you actually look up the lyrics, like Poison Altars is pretty deep and it's a lot about religion, clearly, but maybe it's something in like the timbres that they use. It's not it's aiming towards a different goal, maybe.
Yeah, and that's just not something I normally look for in music.
Mm.
But every time I watch a metal music video, I find myself feeling a lot better about it than just listening to metal. Or even watching it perform live.
Yeah.
Like, there's something about watching people perform metal live that's really entertaining to me. I just can't, like, sit down and listen to a metal record.
Well, you start with your power stance, and you get your strap real low, and then you just go for it, man. And you have to be in sync, like the head banging is all in sync. Daniel gave me a little masterclass about that, so shout out.
Okay, Tyler. So your question is, as a graphic designer, did you find the Red Fang video to be exciting? Did you like the graphics in it? Did you think it was cool?
Did I, Shaun?
Did you?
Why,
I don't know. I don't know. That's why I want to know. I asked you a question.
My question to you is, why do you think I would like that?
Because it reminded me of your graphic style.
There you go.
It
That's
made me
a good
think of
answer.
you. I've grown accustomed to your face.
There was some, like, I don't know, like, I liked it, yes. Short
You can
answer,
be real.
yes.
I'm not going to be offended.
Short answer, yes, I did. But, I think there was some, like, some kind of questionable, like, kind of, like, cheesy, like, phoned-in kind of, like, parts of, like, the animation, which is fine. They animated, like, what was it, like, 4 or 5 minutes of stuff?
Yeah.
They had, like, a lot of characters, and there was, like, a lot of crazy shit going on, and there was, like, all sorts of crazy crap that was happening. So, like, I understand why they could, like, cut some corners to, like, kind of, like, get all the stuff they wanted in there. So, yeah, I was engaged by it. I don't think it necessarily enhanced or, like, inhibited my enjoyment of the music, though. I thought it was just okay. I wasn't, like, super drawn in. A little
Get it?
bit more.
Drawn? It was a drawn video. It's a
That's
pun.
right, Taylor.
You get it? Do you get the joke?
Bad puns.
I didn't even have to do it this time. How awesome is that? And my last question was just, it goes out to a kind of general, and I didn't really, I don't know, I'm kind of just going with this is a drummer to drummer thing. So, Seth, who is the best metal drummer that you know? What do you think?
Neil Peart.
Absolutely not.
Meg White. Pick Meg White.
White.
I don't know enough of their names, to be honest.
What band do they play for? You can look it up if you need to. Don't worry. This isn't a quiz. You're not going to get graded.
Well, I'm not going to say Metallica, that's for sure.
Woo, thank you. They're not the best at anything.
Is Metallica even a metal band? I'm sorry.
I mean, a lot of people would say probably Joey Jordison.
Okay.
But I
He's
like
a drummer for
Lars.
Slipknot, in case listeners don't know.
Yeah. I like Lars Ulrich.
That's Metallica.
Wait, what?
That's
That is
Metallica.
Metallica. Even I know
What
that.
am I doing? What am I thinking? I'm getting this wrong. I'm thinking someone else.
It's okay.
No,
You're
'cause
just
I don't-
live
I
in
don't
front of like
necessarily-
3 people.
Well, a lot of metal drumming itself is just like your hands do simple things and your feet are the real masters. But like,
Challenge accepted. Between the Buried and Me. Give it a good listen. Think you'll
Okay.
be- Who's
Fine.
your favorite drummer? Who's your favorite drummer? Who influences you the most right now?
Right now,
Yeah. It doesn't have to be metal. Just anybody in general.
Elvin Jones.
Okay.
Who?
Who does he play for? Is he his own thing?
He's jazz.
Okay.
So he's with everybody.
Look it
It's
up.
going to be Jazz.
Taylor's going to post it under there.
Yep.
And with that, I'm done.
Catherine recommends the guy from Devil Driver.
Mm.
I would also
Say
say metal drumming that's not all feet. I can't think of it now. It's the 4th Mars Volta record. Bedlam and
Yes.
Goliath.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really interesting fills on that record. And also just time signatures that don't make any damn sense.
I think my favorite's the Reverend from Avenged Sevenfold before he died. Rest in
I
peace,
mean,
Reverend.
come on, he died, but that doesn't mean he stopped being a good drummer.
Well, he kind of stopped being a drummer, period, because he's
Well,
dead.
but that's a...
He's playing the Worms now.
Well, before we're all playing the Worms, we need to finish the show and get on with our lives. And that means it's time for Shameless Plugs! Woo! Alright, who wants to go first?
I will. Hi, everybody. I'm Tyler. You can find my work at tylerdreed.com. You can find me on Twitter at TDRDesign. You should come talk to me, insult me. I put out a new T-shirt design. It's Uther's Battle Mustard, based on the hilarious card in Hearthstone called Mustard for Battle. Get the joke? It's funny. We're in the final preparation stages of Shaun Doesn't Play Video Games. You can find that hilarious Twitter handle at Shaun Doesn't Play. Shaun's first video game he's going to be playing is Super Meat Boy, the ridiculously hard retro platformer that has a really sweet soundtrack. Look forward to that in the coming weeks. Woo! Great.
All right. Shaun, Shameless Plugs from you.
Check me out on Evans_Emerge. I'll be starting the new podcast of Shaun Doesn't Play. You might know me from that because I'm actually Shaun, and I don't actually play.
Video games or anything in general.
Right. Especially not sport ball. Don't look at that. My Meerkat channel has been back lately, so watch me drive places. Once again, making driving interesting for myself by reading your comments when I drive. And also, just a general note, NPR needs to stop plugging for The Walking Dead. I don't care. I don't like that show. It's not that great. Stop talking about it. And it made me so mad when I was going home from work today, and I had to hear whoever the correspondent is for NPR West say, "Why didn't you pick my neighborhood of Los Angeles to stage it in?" What a Los Angeles question to ask. Why is it in my neighborhood? Who cares?
Would you rather have
Who cares?
Fuse iced tea with Mr. T?
God.
Do you want to hear that commercial?
Do news. Stop plugging and do news.
He says, finishing off his Shameless Plugs. Seth, any Shameless Plugs from you?
Yeah, sure. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram under Drumming Seth. I'm on obviously Facebook. I have a lot of music on Bandcamp and also on iTunes. The most recent Fathers of the Revolution record.
Where can you find that
Quartet.
record at?
That's on iTunes and Spotify, and our Bandcamp, and then my Quartet 6/5 Quartet 6:5 is on Bandcamp and as well as every other social media, and then Wolfman, the latest kind of Father's string project that sounds nothing of the same that his father's. It is coming out with our record very soon. And I also have a website, SMA Percussion is my initials, percussion.com, and you can find me there, or just whatever. Let's talk about music or do stuff.
Do you have any shows coming up that the people might know about?
Yeah, I should probably definitely do one for that. For those of you in the Athens area or the Ohio area, I guess. No, sorry, that's all of you. You can in Athens at the OU's Scripps Amphitheater, which is part of the School of Journalism. I'm gonna be playing the August Moon Festival next Saturday with a bunch of cool cats, as well as Angela Purley and the Howlin' Moons. They're going to be headlining, as well as like Knots with a buddy of mine, Eli Chambers, and Wavada, and Wolfman, obviously, and then yeah, a bunch of other cool bands.
Very cool.
Your plug was so good. I'm so jealous.
He's hustling, man. He's hustling hard. All right, and shameless plugs from me. You can find me on Twitter, as always, at TC Olmstead. You can follow the show on Twitter at Dudes Brunch. You can like us on Facebook, facebook.com/dudesbrunchpodcast. And you can check out our website, dudesbrunch.wordpress.com, where you can buy Dudes Brunch shirts. You can check out Shaun's hilarious GOP debate bracket, which people seem to love. You can read about why it's impossible to use Twitter without running into Lil B, and tons more fun stuff all over on dudesbrunch.wordpress.com. Gentlemen, any closing thoughts for this week?
Look out for some new articles, kids. Been writing hard.
New articles coming this week on the website. Seth?
Probably just thanks for having me on the show, guys. I'm a big fan.
Oh no.
And I'll stay tuned in.
You're a number one fan.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, take that, Zach. Seth's our number one fan now. Suck it.
He was number one.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you again next week for more brunch. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.